Welcome to the Center of Hope. Welcome to your new way of life. I don't know where you are right now watching this DVD. Maybe you're in jail. Maybe you're in a recovery center. Maybe you're home with friends and family. Maybe with a pastor or minister, or maybe you're all alone. What I do know is you're exactly where you're supposed to be right now. You are here for a reason. I ask you to keep an open mind as you go through this journey with my friend, Dr. David Sutton. David has created a program called The Principal Approach, a journey through steps in recovery. It's different than anything you've ever seen before. David's going to talk more about that. Let me give you a little history on the man who's going to be speaking to you. David's got a rich history. Over 28 years spent helping other people in recovery. 25 years as an ordained minister. He's got a PhD in psychology. He's taken the best of all those fields, ministry, helping other people, in the study of the human condition to create his program. Again, entirely different than anything you've ever seen. What I want you to know is, I know how you feel. I've been in your chair. I struggled with addictions for a long, long time. Today I'm happy to report that I'm free from addictions. I live a life that I never knew was imaginable. And a lot of it is due to what I've witnessed with Dr. David Sutton and following his principles. The principal approach is something that maybe you're curious about. You've never heard of anything like this. You may be familiar with traditional 12-step programs. In the 12 steps, it talks about practicing these principles in all of our affairs. That's what this is all about. Dr. Sutton's going to teach you the principle behind each step. He's going to give you a way to apply that to your life, to not only solve your addiction problems, but to live a life beyond anything you could ever imagine. It really is extraordinary. What I want you to do now is get comfortable. I want you to sit back, and I want you to get ready to enjoy your new way of life. In a minute, you're going to hear Dr. David Sutton make his presentation on principle number one, honesty. Honesty is the most important principle that you're going to learn about. It is the foundation on which the rest of your recovery is based. Now we're going to go live to the Center of Hope, and we're going to learn about principle number one, honesty.
You're right. I love the drunk. Drunk was riding on his bicycle, and there was this young guy. He just got himself a brand new Maserati. And he was real proud of that car, and he was tooling around, showing off in his car. And this drunk comes tooling up on a bicycle, and he leans down, he sticks his head in the window. He said, "Hey, buddy, how about a couple of dollars for something to eat?" The guy said, "Get your filthy face out of my car. Get your hands off my car. This is a brand new Maserati. You don't know how much this car costs. How dare you be touching my car?" So the drunk kind of pushes off to the car, and the guy slams it into gear, and boom, he takes off. And he's flying up the road, and he said, man, he showed that guy, and he looks in his mirror, and all of a sudden the drunk is on the bicycle catching up with him. He can't hardly believe what he's seeing. The drunk's catching up, and all of a sudden, shoom, the guy on the bicycle passes him. And so he can't deal with that. So he pops it up into third, and he takes off, and he's flying down, and he catches up alongside of the guy on the bicycle, and he gives him a look, and he steps on it, and he pulls ahead. He looks in the mirror, and all of a sudden he looks, and that drunk is catching up with him again. The bicycle's come out, and so he figures, I'll show him, and he slams on his brakes. Guy crashes into the back of the Maserati. The guy, oh no, I can't believe I did that. So he got out of the car, and he went back. He said, "Hey buddy, you all right?" The drunk said, yeah, I'm okay. And he said, "Can I do something? Can I help you? Can I do something for you?" He said, "Yeah, would you unhook my suspenders from your mirror?" So anyhow, if you haven't come here before, you're at the step class. We do this every Tuesday night. We teach the principles here. Oh, they're not going to get over that one anytime soon. We want to teach you about some life principles. And so some of you are brand new, and you're kind of looking around wondering what this is all about. Well, this is where we come together. This is kind of where we rally together. And we believe here at the Center of Hope in enthusiasm. We believe that if you can't get enthusiastic about getting your life together here, where are you going to get enthusiastic about it? So we practice that enthusiasm. I see a lot of brand new faces tonight that I've never seen before, and I want to be the very first one to welcome you to the finest program in the United States right here. It's a good thing. Yeah. welcome the people on the video, too. That's a good thing as well. So we want to teach you about some life principles. You know, every step has a corresponding principle, and some people think they work the steps one time and they're all done. They don't have to do anything else. Other people believe you got to work the steps for the rest of your life. There's no closure. There's nothing you can do. But I have to tell you that I believe that it's somewhere in between there, that I do this process until I gain these principles. These principles are what's going to transform my life. And you probably grew up like I grew up and you didn't really connect with life principles. Or maybe you connected with them, but then you started drinking and drugging and you lost all of that. So I will tell you that principles are the key to making this whole thing, this whole process of changing your life work. A lot of us don't understand principles. We understand rules. You run into a rule, you break the rule got broke, there may be a consequence, there may be not. You might have got caught, maybe you didn't. The rules just break. But when you run into a principle, principles don't break. You do. And when you start violating principles long enough in your life, eventually what happens is your life turns into a shambles. And so here what we try to do is teach you about life principles so that you can gain those principles back and reassemble your life. It's kind of like the difference between a swamp and a river. A swamp is a place where the water just runs out and does whatever it wants to do, goes wherever it wants to go. It doesn't have any kind of boundaries on it. No kind of limitations. And you know, swamps don't have a whole lot of anything good growing in them. But I can tell you, a river is different. A river has lots of life to it because a river has banks, it has boundaries, and it takes that river. There's a channel where that river runs through, and it has a destination. It has a purpose. And in that river, there's all kinds of things that grow and are alive. The principles that we're going to talk about are those principles that produce boundaries on your life and establish some kind of pathway to follow. If you don't have life principles, I can assure you that you're destined for the same kind of struggle over and over and over and over and over. So we want you to get a hold of some of these principles. One is honesty. Two is, that's where we're at tonight. We're going to talk about honesty. 2 is hope. 3 is faith. 4 is courage. 5 is integrity. 6 is willingness. 7 is humility. 8 is brotherly love. 9 is discipline. 10 is perseverance. 11 is awareness of God. 12 is step number 12 says this: having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. And the principle in step number 12 is actually service to others. How do I begin to use what I've got? Freely I've received, freely I need to give. How do I use what I have received to help other people? And that's the hinge pin to recovery. There's nothing that will so much ensure immunity from the next drink as intensive work with other alcoholics or addicts or whatever your addiction might be. So tonight we're going to go into step number 1, and we're going to talk about step number 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. Take the word alcohol and substitute whatever you want to put in there. You can put food in there, you can put pornography in there, you can put drugs in there, you can put bad relationships in there. You know, some people, you could probably even put in treatment programs in there. You're addicted to going to treatment programs. You're powerless over treatment programs. And you just keep going and going and going. And you wonder why you don't get any better, because you're powerless. You didn't get that part. You know, and if you've been through a lot of treatment programs and you've got an extra like 30 grand and you're getting ready to go to another treatment program, give me the money and I'll take you to my house and you can stay there. I'll feed you well for 30 grand for 90 days. I'll put you up for 90 days. We won't let you out of the house. Be sober. You can get it. You don't have to drink anymore. You don't have to drug anymore. You don't have to use anymore. You don't have to go in any further down that pathway of destruction. You can end it right here. And you can have your life totally transformed. This is not about coming into a process where I can remain marginally sick and continue in the confusion. Aren't you done being confused? Well, if you don't think you're confused, ask the person next to you, do you think I'm confused? I'll tell you, you're confused. Now, that was only one question. I only asking one question. You're already confused. You're still talking. You need to stop that. So there's a process. I have come into a process, and we use the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we use the basic text, and we use the Bible, and we use anything that you can put your hands on that's going to help you have your life transformed. Because we don't want to continue doing what we've been doing. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. And if you're done getting what you're getting, you're going to have to do something. If you want something that you've never had, you will have to do something that you've never done. For some of you, you've heard about the steps and about the processes and about all of this stuff. You've heard about it for years. You know, you'd be sober as long as me if you'd actually taken the time to do the work, but you didn't do the work. And so as a result of that, you've remained in a cycle of failure. I want to break that cycle of failure. It's time to set down the gauntlet and say, I'm going to get my life rehabilitated. I'm going to get my life changed. I'm going to get transformed so that I don't have to fail any longer, so that I don't have to go back to prison again. A lot of you have been there. So you don't have to go get arrested and visit the county jail anymore. So you don't have to get another DUI. So you don't have to live like that anymore. You don't have to give all the money that you could ever find, beg, borrow, steal to a crack man. You don't have to live like that. You can change your life. Some of you have no idea how to get honest. And some of you have been struggling with getting honest. And you've been working at it. You know, every time you get your white chip, you decide you're going to get honest, but you've never gotten honest even from the beginning. Can I tell you something? The identification of dishonesty in your life is a sign that you're beginning to work on honesty. You need to learn what that dishonesty looks like in your life. How is it that dishonesty has plagued your life? A lot of you had a lifestyle of lying. You made things up all the way along the pathway. You just created things. You know, and some of you still do that. You go to your little recovery meetings and you sit there and you're making things up that you're not even sure are true. So your story sounds better than the other guy's story. How many have done that? Come on, the rest of you are lying. You want to get honest, but you're not sure how to get honest, and you're not sure when to get honest. And by the way, for the people that are sitting in the front, I heard this today that they sit up here so they can get a little on them, you know. So if I spit on you, well, get over it. That's all I can say. A little spray will do you good, you know. You get a little spray. That's that holy water. This says the class of 79. They put a whole thing. They got their own T-shirts and everything. Look at. Stand up, turn around. Go on, stand up. Look at this class. Woo! So we have this thing called honesty. Honesty is the hinge pin to all recovery. I don't care which program you're in. I don't care what pathway you're looking at. I don't care if you've gotten sober through the church or through a recovery program or Celebrate Recovery, or it doesn't really make any difference. Honesty is essential for you to break the cycle of addiction. If you're going to have your life restored and changed, you've got to break that pattern of dishonesty that you've been living in. Some of you have lied so long you're not even sure that you're lying. You're just making things up as you go along. Is anybody like that? I was like that when I first got into sobriety. That was a thing that, it was really weird because I was used to lying. I would tell lies to cover up the lies. I would start telling little lies on Wednesday, so come Friday night when I told the big lie that I could pull it off. And then I would tell other little lies all the way through to about Tuesday of next week so that I could cover up the big lie on Friday night. Did anybody else live like that? Wasn't that a lot of work? And the problem was I had to remember what I said, and most of the time I couldn't remember what I said. I couldn't even remember where I was at. So I had a problem with that. And a lot of us have learned how to lie, and some of you in here would lie when the truth would help you. If you just told the truth, you'd have been done. But no, you had to make something up, and then we have to bring you to staffing. And then you lie up there pretending like we're stupid and we don't know what's going to happen. They asked me, the case managers asked me one time, well, how do you know if they're lying to you or not? So just look and see if their mouth's moving. I'm sure there's something coming out that's not right. So we try not to pick on everybody at one time. By the way, if you can be offended, you will, and that's an equal opportunity offender. We know that. I've never had in my life been accused of being politically correct, and so I don't plan on starting tonight. So I'm just going to tell you what I think and tell you how it is, and good. If you get a resentment tonight, that's a wonderful thing. You got something out of the meeting. Take it home and work on it. It'll be good. So we're going to talk about honesty. How do you get honest? Let me take you to some notes. I decided tonight that I'd actually try to work out of my notes instead of just winging. I can wing it all night. I want to talk about this honest. Being honest. These are some things that being honest. If you're taking notes, I'm going to give you a little list of things that being honest means. Being honest means that I won't cheat, not even on my taxes. Oh, that's an awful thing right there, isn't it? You mean I've got to straighten that out? Yeah, you got to pay your taxes right. Being honest means that I won't lie. And we'll talk a little bit about that. The lies, some lies are just outright lies. How many have told an outright lie today? There's several hands up already. Come on, how many told an outright lie today? You just made it up. You knew it was a lie before it came out of your mouth, but you said it anyhow. How many have told an outright lie this month? How about this year? You've told an outright lie this year. I mean, we're getting more now. How many are lying right now about not telling a lie? See, I knew it. You're lying right through your teeth. There are outright lies. We need, outright lies, basically that's a statement that says it's none of your business what the truth is. It's none of your business, or maybe I don't know what that is. I won't lie. One of the things about this honesty means that I won't steal. You can't continue to steal. Stealing is not a moral thing. It's not a good. How many notice that when you steal things, people get irritated with you? See, they don't like it that you took their stuff. You don't be taking their stuff. And even if their stuff is ugly, and even if their stuff is very, it just seems like they wouldn't even miss it. They got so much stuff, they still don't like you taking their stuff. Stealing is an immoral act. And the moment that you steal, you know you're doing something wrong. You already are aware that it's a wrong thing to do, but you're going to do it anyhow because you've convinced yourself that somehow it's okay. But it's not okay. It's never okay to take something that doesn't belong to you. So, we take personal belongings, and all of us go, well, I have found cash register honesty. I heard that in the meetings, cash register honesty. I said, yeah, okay, I could do that. If they give me too much money when I'm coming out of the store in change, I'm going to say, hey, wait. Take some of that back. I got more than I need. I've even gone out of the store and then come back in. The people I was with didn't like it very well, but I went back in to give that extra money back. And we don't have a lot of problem with that. If you find a wallet laying out here and you pick it up and it's got some money in it, it's got somebody's ID in it, you're probably going to give it back. But tonight, if I left the meeting at the end of this meeting and I walked out here and there's a satchel, unmarked, leaning against my front tire with $50,000 in small bills, I'm going to be inclined to say, thank you, Jesus. So are you. You're going to be tested a little bit different now. I mean, that's a little bit different subject right there. Well, I don't know about that. Maybe God wanted to bless me. Was there a note in there from the guy that dropped it off? You better be careful because, his name might be Benny and he might be coming back with a gun looking for it. So, are you honest? Are you cash? Did you stop stealing? Have you stopped stealing from your boss by laying up there lazy for 2 hours a day? And you thought, well, you never stole from your boss, but every time you showed up with a hangover, every time you showed up and you were still high from the weekend, wandering around like you don't even know what planet you're on, and you got that look in you, that starry eye, that new calf in the gate kind of look, and you're kind of staring, and you weren't doing any work, you were stealing from your boss. By the way, every time you show up to a meeting late, you're stealing. You've made a decision to show up late, and your decision to show up late is based on my time is more important than yours, so I'm going to steal some of your time. Don't show up to my class late because I get frowning on that. But you show up to other meetings late, and you show up to a meeting, and you're sitting in the meeting, and because you've been in meetings all day, you want to pay attention, so you're sitting in the meeting, and while the guy's up there trying to read, you're talking. Does that ever happen here? You liars, it does too. I stood outside the window last night and watched you as if and I took names down of all the people that were down there doing that. You were stealing from the guy that brought that meeting to you. There comes a place where we have to get really honest about what we're taking. If it doesn't belong to you, it's stealing. Okay? Has everybody got that? Say, I got it. A person of trustworthiness. If you're honest, you have trustworthiness, that people trust you. Do people trust you? Would people trust you to come and watch their cat? I was looking over there because I know somebody's got a one-eyed cat. I don't know that she'd trust me to come and watch her cat. I'm not a real cat guy. You wouldn't trust me to watch your cat, would you? No, not for more than a day. Oh, Winky. The cat's name is Winky, by the way. It's only got one eye, so call it Winky. Go figure, you know. She come back from vacation. I said, Winky's been on a diet. I don't know. He didn't want to eat. I don't know. Maybe he was fasting. It was a spiritual thing. What can I say? Being honest means that you're truthful, that you don't embellish the truth, that you don't add to the truth, that you don't take the truth and don't. Do you recall when you went to court last? Has anybody here ever been in court? Well, let me tell you, the last time you went to court and they made you put your hand on the Bible, you know, and you lift the other hand in the air and say, you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? You know, that guy has said that more than one time. And you go, yeah, I do, you know. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. You can't embellish. The judges frown on that when you embellish. So do I. You know, embellishing is not a good thing. You're adding to the truth. If you're honest, you're sincere. People that are honest are sincere in their heart. Are you a sincere person? Do you have any dimension of sincerity in your life at all? Do people see you that way? That when you're talking, when you're talking at a meeting, does it sound like that what's coming out of you is something that was a real episode? That it was really something that happened? Are you sincere? Are you believable? That's what it means. Are you a politician? Well, you can't be both. You can't be a politician and believable at the same time. I've kind of concluded that. But are you believable? You know, we have to kind of look at it. The people that just got elected, do you believe them or not? Do you believe that they have something going on? I happen to believe that, you know, they have a good intention. You know, we'll see. I do like the gas prices better than I did last week. They keep going down. They keep going down. And you're hoping that the economy gets better. When the economy gets better, you know where the gas prices are going to go? Yeah, they're going to go back up. That's going to happen. Am I genuine? Am I real? I am. What you see is what you get. I'm like this all the time. That's why you wouldn't want to live with me. I'd drive you crazy. I'm like this. Are you able to be frank and open? Do you say what you think? I do. I think so. Are you upright? Can you be counted on? When you say you're going to do something, are you going to do it? Are you going to actually show up? Are you straightforward? All of those are dimensions of being honest. Are you honest or not? Take a quick inventory. Because if the one of those things jumped out at you, then you're not honest. If one of those things is a thing that you're working on, you're not honest. You can't be partially honest. You're either honest or you're not. Honesty is actually a real whole thing. And you know, when they talk about that, the only step that you need to work completely is the first step. Well, you know, it's partly because you've got to be completely honest. If you don't grasp an idea, a concept called honesty, grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. I need to have rigorous honesty. I need to be honest enough that I'll allow my lifestyle demands of me that I remain honest. And if I don't stay honest, my lifestyle starts calling me to task. I have people that I'm accountable to that know when I'm lying and know when I'm telling the truth. And if as a matter of fact, I don't stay honest, I have developed a manner of living that demands that I stay honest. And you know why I've done that? Say why. Why? That's a really good question. The reason that I did that is that I need to have somebody outside of me help determine whether or not I'm being honest. Because I have the capability of telling me things and getting me to believe what I told me. Because me is me problem. Would you say that with me? Me is me problem. That your problem, you don't have to look very far to find the problem. You don't have to look far to find the enemy. I got up this morning, I looked in the mirror, there he was, right there looking at me. Yeah, it's you again. I can tell you that guy's out to get me sometimes. There's some days he just wants to do all the wrong things. And I'm not a novice at this. I need to make sure that I'm being held accountable, because I can move back into denial just that quick. Just boom, just right over there. And some of you are in denial tonight. You're in denial about your addiction. And you're wondering why that you've got that addiction thing going on, and why you can't break the cycle, because you're in denial. You won't really acknowledge what's wrong with you. Denial, D-E-N-I-A-L. Don't even know I am lying. That's what denial is. You're not even aware you're making it up. You're making things up as you go, and you're not aware. You're not aware of what you're masking. You're not aware of what you're covering. You're not aware of any of those things. You're in that denial. And at some point, we look at that first step. It said, we admitted we're powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. The whole concept is this unmanageability that came as a result of this addiction. And if you're in denial about that, then you need to really look at where you're at in your life. For some of you here, it shouldn't be too, if your life is unmanageable, or you're trying to decide whether your life is really unmanageable or not, well, it shouldn't be too hard. If your address is the Center of Hope, 1400 10th Street, your life is unmanageable. You're living at the Salvation Army shelter. Come on. You're not sure it's unmanageable. How far down do you need to go? I'm telling you. Maybe you're in prison. Maybe you're sitting in jail. Maybe there's that's going on. Can I tell you something? Unmanageability is part of your deal right there. And if you don't grasp that piece that says my life is unmanageable, then you'll somehow back up to the first part of the step and begin to justify this use of alcohol and drugs and whatever else you're doing. There comes a place that I have to clearly identify the core, the root of the problem. And the root of the problem is not necessarily connected to what alcohol and or drugs did to me. It's not what it did to you. It's easy to identify what it did to you. It destroyed your marriage. It sent you to jail. It got you DUIs. You got the snot knocked out of you down in the alley trying to buy crack. That's what it did to you. Did that ever happen to anybody here? Yeah, right. And you try to substantiate that you're a social drinker or a social crack user, whatever that is. I've not met any social junkies. You've been shooting up for 15 years. You're not social. That's not a social event. And stealing the guy's money to support the habit's not a social event. When we come to that place where we have to break through those walls of denial and say, yeah, there's something really going on here that's wrong. And it's not about what it did to you. We need to flip the coin over and see what it did for you. Because at the core of your denial, at the core of this addiction, at the core of the center of unbelief that says that I can somehow conquer this, I can somehow be the one in a million that can overcome this by myself. At the core of that, there's a question that begs to be answered. That's, what did it do for you? Because if you can figure out what alcohol and drugs did for you, then you can ignore what it did to you and identify why it is that you wanted to do it for you again. Because it's really about the pain that we get in. And people can stay sober, and they can stay clean, and they can stay away from pornography, and they can stay away from the food addiction for a while. But if you don't actually do something in this process of rehabilitating your life, I can assure you, you're going to go back to where you were. Because if the pain in this process of recovery ever becomes greater than the pain of a relapse, relapse is inevitable. If you get in so much pain while you're sitting in a treatment program that you can't stand it, you'll be running out the gate. And it's indicative of people that have not yet begun to deal with all of the pain issues in their life. And these steps were set up, and these principles are designed to help you address those pain issues and break the cycle. It's time to break the cycle. We don't have to continue down that pathway. You're not alone. You're not unique. You're not different. We all felt alone. We all felt like we're on the outside looking in. We all felt like we didn't measure up. We all felt like that somehow we were unique and we were different. Every person in this room has felt that. And as a result of feeling that, we have stayed on the outside and we've skirted the issues. But tonight, I'm going to open the issues up for you and let you take a look. Because that loneliness and that lonely cycle and that isolation are really not a normal way to live. And I know for me, sometimes it feels real normal. Sometimes it feels really like that's the way I'm supposed to be. But it wasn't. That was not the way God designed you. God designed you different than that. If you can think back to the day you were born. Like the one guy started a story, I was born at an early age. Oh man, this is going to be a long night, let me tell you. You may not remember the day you were born, but you know, it happened apparently. I say apparently it happened. So back on the day that you were born, you were a relational kind of person. On that day you were born, you were a person that wanted relationship. You were a person that wasn't afraid to ask for help. You were there and you went, "Wah!" because you needed help. You weren't sure what you needed, but you knew if you yelled loud enough, somebody would come pay attention to you. And after you did that a few times, you said, "Wah!" And they came running, and so you knew how to do that. And by the time you were 3 days old, you were already manipulating. You were already. Bet you this group here. You were conning some of the guys. You were con artists. You got your mama to come. And so your mama said, "Well, you just ate." Well, must be he's got a wet diaper. And so she's checking out the wet diaper. And while she's checking out, you go, you just shot her with that. You were already getting it on. You had the game running, boy. You had it running good, too. You needed relationship. You needed everything. Feed me. You know, give me some dry clothes. This is not good. You didn't know where the toilet was, but, you know, you knew that there was something going on down there. You know, you had it. Help me, I think I'm falling. You know, you wanted somebody to hold you, you know. Rock me to sleep. You know, sing me a song, you know, and you did all of that. And your mama sang you a song, and it was terrible. But you didn't know because you never really heard music. So you said, whatever that is, okay. Later on, you heard music, and you said, "Mama can't sing at all." But there's a place that you have to look at that day, on that moment when you came into this earth. You needed relationships. And then you moved along the pathway, and you had relationships going on some level. But then other people were better at relationships than you. Maybe you were born with that, or maybe you didn't learn that. But suddenly, other people seem to be good at relationships, and you seem to really stink at it. And then every time you got close to somebody and you got in a relationship with somebody, they hurt your feelings. And you didn't know how to contend with hurt feelings because you grew up in a house that didn't say anything about hurt feelings. You didn't talk about it. You grew up in a house where there's a pink elephant in the living room, but let's not discuss it. You grew up in one of those kind of guilt factories where, you know, the guilt was all around, but you just didn't discuss the guilt. And so you felt guilty, and you felt like misplaced, and you felt like everybody was out to get you. And, you know, that was back when you were just a child, when you first started school, and when you were in grade school and middle school. And how interesting it is, there's some of you here, 45 and 50 years old, that still feel that way. Some of you are older than that. There's some people that are older than the hills that come here. Let me tell you. There's some people come here to retire. I have to explain to them, this is not a retirement center. No. Because when you get old enough you need depends, we can't help you with that. I don't have no depends here. You know, I've got a staff. Scott wouldn't mind changing your depends, but, you know. Kelly, you need to write that down on his job description. So the idea is that you've carried that long enough, don't you think? Some of the damage that occurred back when you were a child, some of those things that cause you to feel rejection and cause you to feel on the outside, you need to address those issues. Because they don't surface the way they surfaced as a child. They surface and they're compounded and they're layered. There's layer after layer after layer after layer of those pains and those. And when you were out drinking and using, you tried relationships drunk, and that didn't work any better than it did sober. but then you couldn't remember, so you didn't care as much. But I want you to know that you get into those relationships and you get hurt after hurt after hurt, and it builds upon your life, and it's not long before you recognize that that pain is there, and so you get sobered up and you get detoxed, and you're looking around and you're going, whew, where did I end up at, and why am I here? And then somebody goes, you know, how you doing? And you go, why do they want to know how I'm doing? You know, and you get a little paranoid, and now you're acting a little weird, and you're walking around here like that, just acting a little strange, and people are going, what's wrong with him? And you need to go, well, there's nothing wrong with me, you know, and pretty soon you don't feel like you fit in, and the pain is surfacing. It's coming up. We can see it. It's running out of your eyes and out of your ears, and you're in all this pain. And then we say, how you doing? And the next thing you know, you're checking out the front gate. Because the pain in this process became greater than the pain of the consequences of going back out there. And you find yourself sitting in a crack house somewhere, wondering what happened, or in a beer joint somewhere, or maybe you're the gambler and you find yourself at the track. We had a guy here who was living here. We wondered why he'd been here so long, and we wondered where he went. I thought he had a job. He didn't have a job. He was going up there playing the ponies. And he was going to the dog track up there by the airport. And we challenged him on it. He said, oh no. Right. When we challenged him enough that said, you can't bet on the dog track until you get your rent paid, he left. I don't know how I got over there, but it's all right. Don't get in that pain and wallow in that pain and stay in that pain. That pain will take you down. That pain will take you out. And you came here to learn how to break the cycle. Breaking the cycle of addiction. You know, let's look at the first part of that first step. We admitted is a collective voice of reason. We admit it is a thing where on no other level maybe do I identify. On no other level do I connect with people. On no other level do I have some kind of resilience that says I might have a chance of getting in relationship. But when I get around other people that are afflicted with the same thing that I have been afflicted with, suddenly I identify with them. And when you get around people that came out of the same mess that you've been in and that you are in, you'll find out that those people know something about the mess that you're in. And they know something about how to get out of that mess and something about how to change your life. And that's why we identify with them. There's a fellowship. You've heard about the fellowship. There's the programs, but there's also the fellowship. You thought the fellowship was drinking coffee. And drinking coffee and 14 cups before the meeting and wondering why you got to pee, you know. Well, you got to pee because you drank all that coffee. That's not the fellowship. The fellowship is not even the meeting after the meeting where you're all standing in the parking lot and talking, although it's something to do with that. The fellowship has to do with the pathway of suffering that you've walked in. It's called the fellowship of sufferings. Have you learned about the fellowship of sufferings? The reason that we identify, an alcoholic can identify so well with an alcoholic or a drug addict with a drug addict is because of that fellowship of sufferings. We have been bonded in that same place. We've been in that same pain. I can assure you that when I see the guys come here from prison, they have an understanding of something that the average person walking in the gate doesn't have an understanding of. They have the fellowship of suffering. Yeah, I've been there. I understand that. That's why our friend Jack up here, he does so well because he's been there. He's been there, and he comes here, and you know, when we get guys that are kind of shut down and guys that aren't identifying and they're struggling to make that transition, you know, we try to steer them in Jack's direction because Jack already spent time in the prison, a lot of it, you know, and there's nobody around here that thinks he should go back. I haven't ever talked to any of his family, but I don't think so. He has a fellowship. There's a common bond. There's a unique understanding. There's something different about a person that's already been through the thing that you're going through or have just come through. And we in this program, we here at this center, we understand that. And everybody in this room, nearly everybody in this room tonight has come out of some kind of addiction. And some haven't come out of the addiction. They're still in it. And some are here observing why you haven't come out of the addiction yet. They're called family members. And they've come to observe. And whether you came from the outside or you came from the inside or you live here or you're just here visiting, I want you to know that there's a common union. There's a place where we have come and we have come into that fellowship and we've come into that understanding. And it's a thing that we absolutely have to have, because when we get down to that place where freely we receive it, freely it's time now to give back to other people, you will need to have a connection to that fellowship. It's not, we don't wish to shut the door, to close the door on our past. You know, we don't have to hide from it. We understand it's there. We don't have to live in it. You don't have to live in the wreckage of your past. By the way, the wreckage of your present is always rooted in the wreckage of your past. And that wreckage that you've been living in and that you're currently living in has a history to it. And that history can be severed. You can get free from it. You don't have to have that history to become a predictor of your future. That history can become history. And all of the drunken years all of the time that I was out there partying and doing all of that stuff and creating all that havoc is a wasteland. It's a place that means nothing unless I take that and utilize it to help somebody else. And then it becomes the most valuable tool that I have. I know that alcoholics and drug addicts, nobody can help an alcoholic like an alcoholic or a drug addict like a drug addict, unless maybe you get one of those people that's been trained. So we want you to be trained. We want you to learn how to effectively reach out and touch other people, effectively turn the corner for somebody else, because it's not all about you. And part of this honesty thing is identifying it's not about me. It's about all the other people. And there comes a place where we admit it, we're powerless over alcohol. We're powerless over all kinds of things. Let me give you a couple of other things that go along with that. There's some powerlessness that's external from you. The alcohol and drugs and mind-altering chemicals, those are external. But there's an internal component, the chemicals that your brain creates on its own. The chemicals that are created in your brain when you start thinking about going out and using, there's a chemical reaction that's ticks off before you ever get there. And a lot of people, when they're thinking about going out to use, they are already high. In their mind, the chemicals are already releasing. The endorphins are releasing and the adrenaline's running, and they're high before they ever get out there. That chemical that's released in your brain, you're powerless over that. When you start thinking down that pathway, you're powerless over it. And if you don't do something about it, it will own you. There comes a place that we have to get the sound of that addiction out of our head. The sound of our addiction is the thing that drags us down. The sound of our addiction is the thing that takes us back into denial and takes us back into that posture where we somehow think again that we can go use successfully. You can never use successfully. You can't pick up one drink or one drug. You've got to smash the idea, permanently smash that idea that you can ever be a normal person again regarding this thing called drug and alcohol use. You can never go back to drinking a glass of wine once in a while, because when you open that door, you have to put on all the mask again. You have to put on all the resistance again. You have to begin to separate again from people. You have to go back into that cocoon that you lived in. And if you don't step out and begin to speak about the thing that you're in to somebody that understands, your addictive thinking will come back, and the sound of your addiction will begin to take over your mind. And when it does, the cravings are activated. You don't have to pick up a drink to reactivate the cravings. They come back automatically, and you're powerless over them. And when you get to that place, and you're powerless, you need to find something more powerful than you, or you're going to die in your addiction. Something more powerful than me. Well, what could that be? Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. Yeah, it's God. May you find him now. It doesn't say may you create him now. It doesn't say make something up so you can wing it and fake it till you make it and blah, 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 whatever that crap's all about. Fake it till you make it. What? Till I make it back to the bar? I tried that for a while. I was walking around. Don't do that. Don't do the fake it till you make it thing. I want you to do the opposite of that. I want you to become real with other people so they can get to know you. They will rescue you. They will save you. They understand you. You don't have to pretend anymore. I don't know where we got fake it till you make it, but just toss it out for tonight anyhow. Tomorrow, if you want to pick it back up on the way out the door, grab it on the way out the door. And you can fake whatever you want to fake. I had to get honest, and if I didn't get honest, I was going to die. In all of the years that I tried to get this program without being honest, and all the years that I tried to get some posture of rehabilitation in my life without the strength and the power of a living, loving God, you know what? I failed. But the day that I decided that I couldn't do this by myself, and I was genuinely powerless, and there was nothing I could do about the addiction, there was nothing I could do about the thinking, there was nothing I could do about the destruction that my life had come to, I cried out and I asked God to come and intervene, and He did. That was August 13th, 1980, 28 years plus ago, and God has kept me sober all these years. You got to get a hold of it. Yeah. And what's more, He don't like me any better than He likes you. And if you ask God, God will come and intervene. Well, I don't believe in God. Well, why not? Well, I'm an atheist. Really? I'm a Christian. I don't believe in atheists. Now listen. Atheists deny the existence of God. I deny the existence of atheists. I can do that. You don't have to believe like I believe, but you have to let me believe like I believe. So there. So I can tell you this. When the plane is getting ready to crash into the ground, everybody's going to pray. So I don't know. They said there's no atheists in the foxhole. I don't know if they had a meter in the foxhole measuring it. Probably the National Safety Council was in the foxhole watching to measure. You know, let's take a record here. You know, we keep track of all those things. Don't get me started on that. Honesty. This is the deal. This is the hinge pin. And for people like you, people like me, this honesty is so imperative. Do you know that when I came to a place where I was asking for help, and you were telling me things like, you know, don't take the first one. Don't pick up the first one, and, you know, it's the first one that gets you drunk, and all of those other kind of little cliches things. I didn't really believe you. And the reason that I lied to you is I didn't believe you, and I didn't think you'd believe me if I told you the truth. The truth was I didn't believe that. I believed that it might have been the 18th one. It might have been the second day that I was out there. There's all kind of things that I believed, but I wasn't sure I believed that first one story. That didn't make sense to me. Because you were not talking to me about giving up a bad habit. You were not talking to me about giving up chocolate, you know. Well, I don't know if that's a bad habit or not. You know, I'm not addicted to chocolate. I can quit anytime I want. I just don't want to, okay? Now leave it alone. Get away from the chocolate. There's a place where we're talking about something that's not just a bad habit. We're not talking about a moral failure. We're talking about an addiction. We're talking about a physical addiction, a mental compulsion, and a spiritual bankruptcy that you've entered into. That state of being. We're talking in those terms. So when you talk to a guy like me, when I was trying to get sober, I want you to know you weren't talking to me about just some average thing. You were talking to me about my drink. You were talking to me about me giving up something that I loved. I'm not talking about I like to drink occasionally. I wasn't a weekend warrior or whatever the rest of that was. You know, I was a fallen down drunk. And I liked being a fallen down drunk. I threw up sometimes. It was good for you. I mean, it was part of the deal. I got DUIs, you know, it was part of the deal. I know people in AA and in NA and all of the programs that never got a DUI. I don't think that's fair. I think you should have to go out and get one. I know a lady that swore she never threw up. That ain't right. You shouldn't be in recovery if you've never thrown up. Go drink some more. Doesn't seem right to me. You weren't talking to me about just a bad habit. You were talking to me about giving up the love of my life. It was the thing that relieved my pain when nothing else would relieve my pain. It was the thing that came. It was magical. It was wonderful. It was soothing. I would go to the bar and I'd order up a big tall draft, and the foam would be rolling over the side, and the jukebox would be playing, Merle Haggard, or depending on what bar I was in, but the jukebox would be playing my favorite song, and I would have that drink, and then the drink would have a drink. You know how that works. Buy everybody a drink. Some drunk will always buy everybody, or somebody will leave one behind. You get one drink and the second one appears. I had a drink and the drink had a drink, and then I got to the third one and the drink had me. And I got to that place where I'd get to that third drink and I'd have that glow. It was a wonderful glow, and I'd be beaming from the inside out, and all of the world problems had dissipated, and suddenly the love of my life had showed up. And people would say, if you don't quit drinking, I'm leaving. I'd say, good, I'll see ya. If you don't sober up, we're going to fire you. Good, I was looking for a job when I found this one. I'm out of here. And I would give up anything so I could continue to drink. So when you told me about stopping drinking and cutting this thing out and changing my lifestyle and getting into a different culture and a different environment and a different mindset, you were talking about giving up something that I genuinely loved. I loved every minute of it. It was the only thing that ever made me feel normal until I found genuine recovery. Some of you have experienced this little thing we call the pink cloud. How many have experienced the pink cloud? You got on a pink cloud, woohoo! You're sober a little while, maybe a week or two, and man, the grass is looking green, and the sky is blue. Look at all those stars, woohoo! Everything's wonderful. Man, that meatloaf tastes good tonight, and red beans and rice again. Hallelujah! I was hoping for it. We can tell when you're on a pink cloud. You're lining up down for dinner early. You're waiting there an hour ahead of time. Boy, you must be pink clouding up. And then you're floating along on your pink cloud because life seems so absolutely wonderful. Everything is perfect. And then somebody pops the pink cloud. They pop that, and that's it. And then you go, man, this place is ugly. Who picked this color out? Why are we all crowded in here? He's still talking. I can't believe he hasn't stopped yet. Well, I ain't going to stop. Well, be quiet. Okay. Now, let me tell you something. The pink cloud goes away, and you're suddenly facing with reality again. And you're facing that reality, and you know why? God gave you an experience called a pink cloud. It's like Him taking a picture of your future. He was showing you what real process does for you. He was showing you what it was going to be like when you break the cycle of addiction and you get out of that addiction and you refuse to go back there. He was showing you how your life could be if you'd put the work into the process, how your life would be if you'd connect with God. God was showing you, if you'll just hook up with me, this is how your life can be every day, all day, for the rest of your life. But you got to do the work. After a while, you go through all of the process, and you come out on the other side. And one day, you don't know, you weren't expecting it. And it's back. Only it's not a pink cloud now, it's the reality of your life. There's a story. I'm going to close with this. How many give me 2 more minutes? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I got 12 minutes right here on the front row. Put your hands down, the rest of you. We won't go too much longer because I know we got other things going. Let me tell you, there's a story. There's a movie called Old Yeller. How many ever saw Old Yeller? Now, Old Yeller was a movie about a kid and his dog. And this kid loved this dog. This dog was his best friend. It was his constant companion. He talked to the dog. And they went everywhere together. And the dog, they were out in the woods, and the dog protected him from the wild animals. And the dog, he just loved that dog. That was his whole life. His whole focus was around that dog. And in that time, in that era of time, they didn't have medicines like we have now, and everybody was poor. And the dog got this infection. He got this disease. And the dog became so infected with that disease that if he were to bite somebody, they would get the disease. And they would get the disease and they would die because there was no cure. And the dog had become like a rabid dog, and they could see it on the dog. They could tell the dog was getting agitated, and the dog was snarling, and so they knew that the dog would have to die. And so in the last scene of the movie, they've got the dog locked in this corn crib. And the little boy is there with his grandpa's shotgun. And it's come down to this, that they've got to kill the dog. Because if they don't kill the dog's going to bite somebody and they're going to die. And the last scene of the movie is the little boy standing there with the shotgun pointed at the dog. And he knows he's got to kill the dog. It's the thing that he loved the most in all of his life, but it's become rabid, it's become diseased, and if he doesn't kill it, it's going to kill him. And he stands there in a moment of time doing the dance of ambivalence. He doesn't know which way to go. And at the end of my addiction, I was looking at it. I was saying, I got to kill this thing. I've got to destroy it. It's going to kill me. If I don't kill it, I was not afraid of going to jail or going to prison. I was afraid I was going to die crazy. I was afraid it was going to kill me. And I said, I remember standing doing the dance of ambivalence saying, I got to kill it. I got to kill it. It's the thing that I love the most. But if I don't kill it, it's going to kill me. And many of you tonight are in that very position. And you're doing the dance of ambivalence. You're standing between two opinions. How long will you stand between two opinions? Between life and death? Choose life. If you have a choice, choose life. If you have a choice, you do have a choice. Choose life. Because the other way is very predictable. Addiction is very predictable. Evil is very predictable. And it's time for us to choose life. Page 2. I want to read you one last thing. Understanding Genesis. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth and populated the earth with broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, green and yellow, red vegetables of all kinds, so man and woman would live long and healthy lives. Then, using God's great gifts, Satan created Ben and Jerry's ice cream and Krispy Kreme donuts. And Satan said, do you want chocolate with that? And man said, yes. And woman said, as long as you're at it, add some sprinkles. And they gained 10 pounds, and Satan smiled. And God created the healthy yogurt so that woman might keep her figure and that man found so fair. And Satan brought forth white flour from the wheat and sugar from the cane and combined them, and women went from size 6 to size 14. So God said, try my green vegetable salad. And Satan presented Thousand Island dressing, buttery croutons, and garlic toast on the side. And man and woman unfastened their belts and following the repast. God then said, I have sent you heart-healthy vegetables and olive oil in which to cook them. And Satan brought forth deep-fried fish and chicken-fried steak so big it needed its own platter. And man gained more weight and his cholesterol went through the roof. Then God created light, fluffy white cake and named it angel food. And said, it is good. And Satan created chocolate cake and named it devil's food. Then God brought forth running shoes so that his children might lose those extra pounds. And Satan gave cable TV with a remote so man could not have to toil in changing the channels. And man and woman laughed and cried before the flickering blue light and gained pounds. Then God brought forth the potato, naturally low in fat and brimming with nutrition. And Satan peeled off the healthy skin and sliced it into the starchy center and put it into chips and deep fried them. And man gained pounds. Then God gave lean beef so that man might consume fewer calories and still satisfy his appetite. And Satan created McDonald's with its 99-cent double cheeseburger. And he said, "You want fries with that?" And man said, "Yes, and supersize them." And Satan said, "It is good," and man went into cardiac arrest. God sighed and created the quadruple bypass surgery. And Satan then created HMOs. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. The principle is honesty. Welcome to your new life.
Thank you for making the principle approach part of your recovery journey. I wanted to talk to you just for a minute as we close out tonight. I hope you've been spiritually enlightened and strengthened, and that you have felt something tonight, that you've received something more than just a lesson. I want to leave you with this thought. Addictions don't just disappear. You'll have to do something about it. Left to your own resources, you're powerless. Left to your own resources, there's not much you'll be able to do. So you need some help. You need God's intervention. Without God, I've never seen anybody break free from the cycle of addictions. So I want you to find that place, not just an understanding of God or a concept about God, but a connection with God and ultimately a relationship with God. I'm going to give you a little prayer, the kind of prayer that I learned when I was a child. Just real simple. It could go like this: God, I need your help. I really don't know you, don't understand you, but I know if I ask, they've told me if I ask, that you would answer my prayers. So today I bring to you my life, the good and the bad, all of my dreams and hopes, all of my failures and disappointments, my hurts and my sorrows, my addiction. I bring it to you today. I surrender my life to you. Lord, I ask today that you'd come in and that you'd help me. Lord Jesus, come, be my Lord, be my Savior. Help me in my life. It doesn't have to be those exact words, but a simple prayer like that, asking God for help. If you prayed that, He's already moving on your behalf. So like I close my classes out here at the Recovery Center every night, welcome to your new life. I'm going to turn this over to our announcer, Chuck, who's going to give you some information on how to help yourself better move forward and how to contact us. God bless you.
Wow, what a prayer. We've come this far. Congratulations. Maybe you're wondering, what do you do now? We hope that you know that there is a way out. There is a solution. You can do it. You just cannot do it by yourself. We'd like you to reach out to somebody. Contact any 12-step program, Alcoholics Anonymous, CA, NA, a pastor, a rabbi, a priest, or a friend. Just reach out to somebody. We'd love to hear from you. At the end of this video, there's going to be some contact information. Maybe you'd like to have Dr. Sutton come and present to a group where you are. Maybe you'd like us to train you in the program that you just saw. Maybe you just want to make a comment. We'd love to hear from you. We just want you to know that there is a way out. There is a solution. You can do it. Congratulations for coming this far and being willing to get to this point. And welcome to your new way of life.